listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation.
Hello and welcome to another tutorial from IELTSPodcast.com. A few words about myself before we really start. My name's Rob. I'm an ex-IELTS examiner. I've been teaching English for quite a few years now, including IELTS, of course, as well as other courses, and I'm here to help. I hope that the experience that I have will help you to get that high band score that you're really looking for. And today, what are we looking at exactly? It's academic writing, it's task 1, and the title of our talk today, of this little tutorial, is 5 Key Skills for Academic Task 1. Skills. Key skills. What are we talking about? And there's going to be 5 of them. The first one I'm going to talk about is this. Okay, academic. Task 1. We're looking at graphs. We've got to be very precise. We're looking for precision. And of course, we've got choices that we can use. Verbs and nouns, for example. Some of them look very similar in English, don't they? I mean, we do get perhaps a little bit confused to distinguish between these nouns and verbs in task 1 because they can function as both. They just alter their form a little bit. I mean, maybe if it's a verb, obviously we can use it in the past tense. We can add ing. We can add an s to it. If it's a noun, of course, all we can do is make it singular or plural. For example, increase. The increase in production was remarkable. That is also a verb, isn't it? There I'm using it as a noun. We could also, of course, say production increased. How? Remarkably. The opposite of increase, decrease. Also, it's a noun or a verb. The decrease in sales affected profits. Sales decreased by a third in 1970 or something like that. They decreased. Rise and fall are 2 more examples. Rise as a noun. The rise in temperature was unexpected. Past tense of rise, irregular verb, rose. Temperatures rose by 10%. For example, 10%, my God, that's too much. Maybe 1%. Fall. The fall in demand led to surplus inventory. There, of course, I'm using fall as a noun. If I'm using it as a verb, demand has fallen since the year 2010. So I'm mixing up my verb tenses. I'm using those either as a noun or a verb. And it's good to mix it up. We've got, obviously, some recognizable, let's go on to the second point, recognizing different patterns in academic task 1. For example, we've got these combinations. We call them sometimes collocations, don't we? Words that often go together. For example, an adjective together with a noun. Let's say that we can see from the graphic information we have that something went up quite a bit, a lot. What is the perfect, not perfect, but a very good adjective to use? Listen to this. There was a considerable rise in consumer spending. A considerable rise. So we've got considerable as our adjective and rise as the noun. Of course, we can also have the combination of verb with an adverb. Example, the number of visitors decreased significantly last year, where significantly is our adverb and decreased is our verb. So words like significantly as an adverb or significant as an adjective, considerable as an adjective or considerably as an adverb. And remember, these words like considerable and significant are academic. They're not used in everyday speech. We might use more colloquial expressions, but academic means academic. Use these words, look for them, use them, try them out. We may also have a certain type of verb like the verb be or a verb like remain together with an adjective. Listen, the price remained stable throughout the quarter. Stable is the adjective. Now, adjectives go with verbs be and other verbs that we sometimes call state verbs. No, remained steady, remained stable, without any change. No? So, at the same time, of course, these kind of patterns that we're looking at have variation. We've got to mix it up as much as we can in task 1, because if we can mix it up, if we can sometimes use the verb with the adverb and then mix that up by showing that we can also know how to use the noun together with an adjective, you're showing the examiner that you can handle these basic grammatical patterns very well, and that therefore you're going to get a high grade, at least a high band score, at least in the grammar part, and hopefully in all parts of task 1. So mixing it up, we might mix things like this. There was a significant decrease in unemployment, or we could say unemployment decreased significantly, or unemployment rose after that period by 5% or something like that. So adjectives and adverbs, that's my third point here. Adjectives and adverbs. I mean, something very, very crucial here is to distinguish between both of them. I mean, the general rule is, and we can take that pretty much as something which applies to almost all of these adverbs, is that they end with 2 letters, ly. So, for example, we've got some common ones, no? First, I'm going to say the adjective and then the adverb. Dramatic, dramatically. So we can talk about a dramatic rise. You know, something went up, I don't know, by more than 50 or 60%. Or something fell dramatically. There was a big drop. Of course, big drop is very colloquial. Fell dramatically is much more academic. And then we're playing around with our significant as our adjective, or significantly as the adverb. Some people, in fact, say, well, we have to be careful there, because what is significant in statistics is something which has been shown mathematically to show what they call in statistics a significant difference. But don't worry too much about that in IELTS academic writing task 1. We can use it to show that, something happened, a rise or a fall or a change of some kind, which appears to be interesting, appears to, be more than just an average rise. It rose significantly, by more than 10%, for example. We also have words like sharp, sharply, marked, markedly. Now those two, a sharp increase or something increased sharply or markedly, a marked increase, again show considerable increases or decreases. Inflation rose by 15%. Ooh, that's not good news. It rose sharply. So we might say inflation rose sharply after the government changed in the year 2018, for example. At the same time, we have the other end of the scale, little differences. And this is very important, I think, in all academic writing, particularly if we're thinking of, in this case, IELTS Task 1. The word slight, adjective. The word slightly, adverb, to show a very small difference. It was only 1.2%. This is often used, of course, in scientific descriptions, where increases or decreases may be very, very small indeed. But we need words. We need words to describe them. So we're not going to say necessarily exports rose a little bit, exports rose by 1.5%. No, we should say, or we can say, exports rose slightly, or there was a slight increase in exports during the first part of the year or something like that. You also have, when we're comparing things necessarily with graphs in particular, increases which appear to be, going at a regular or gradual pace. They're not going too fast or too slow. And we use these words very often. The adjective is steady, and our adverb is steadily. If we're saying or looking at a graph and we can see employment figures, and they appear over a 10-year period to go up by around the same amount every year, an increase of 3 or 4% every year, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. Perfect to use steady. Employment rose steadily during the first decade of the 21st century. Rose steadily. Or there was a steady increase in employment during the first decade of the 21st century. Remembering the obvious here, of course, that we're being asked in Task 1 to compare things. We need to use and to have available to us words like this, slight, slightly, etc., etc., etc. Because we know that we're talking about numbers. We're talking about things where we're translating, if you like, numbers and figures into words, and we don't want to fall back on those words which are used in everyday English. Bigger and smaller. It's getting bigger, it's getting smaller. That's fine if we're talking in general, face-to-face with friends, isn't it? But we're not going to talk about bigger and smaller in IELTS Task 1. We're going to use what we've just been looking at. There was a slight increase. There was a sharp increase. There was a dramatic increase in something. We're not going to say it got really big or something like that. So, okay, let's pause there, because remember, a lot of students these days, they ask the questions, how can I get my high grades in IELTS, academic or general training or whatever, particularly in aspects such as writing, where I think I might need help. And well, of course, we come up with all kinds of solutions. There's no one solution to that. Of course, there never is. What suits one person may not suit another person. But I think a lot of smart students these days are using tools to rather than just mere information to pass IELTS. They're using things such as the AI essay checker that is available now on IELTSPodcast.com. I mean, there's an awful lot of talk, isn't there, about artificial intelligence and stuff like that, and we can take it and discuss it, and I'm not here to do that today. All I know is that this is a very effective way of checking how you're getting on with your IELTS writing, whether it's Task 1 or Task 2. Send in your essays. Well, first you have to sign up to it. Get into IELTSPodcast.com. Find out about this AI essay checker. Sign up. See what's on offer there apart from the AI essay checker, such as feedback on all kinds of things and information you've got. Lots of help with all aspects of the exam, whether it's writing, speaking, listening, or reading. And then when you start sending in your essays, you'll get instant feedback. I'm not too sure. I can't remember. Is it 48 hours maximum you'll get the reply? Or maybe less than that. Actually, I'm not too sure. Probably less. You'll get that feedback which tells you where you're going wrong and what you're doing well, because very often, people say, yeah, you're doing fine, but without telling us exactly, wait a minute, you're doing fine, but look out for these little details, like the details we're looking at today, because often the details are very important, aren't they? We tend to forget that, the general picture looks fine, but, you're still making little mistakes with your adverbs or your adjectives, or you're not varying your style enough. It's, it's a bit monotonous what you're writing there. We've got to, think of effective writing, particularly in Task 1, we don't have much space there. What is it, 180 words? I know they asked for a minimum of 150. We're probably going to write about 180. And you're thinking of, how can I mix this up? I have to be as varied as possible to be effective, because we're talking about numbers when we've got to balance this out. I think we've got to kind of balance out what we have there in terms of the numbers that I see in my graph or whatever information I have in front of me, and using words to explain it. Not only are adverbs like considerably or significantly, but also things like, for example, using comparisons like this. We're thinking of, something increased dramatically. Okay, that's fine, but how much? How much did it increase? And you're thinking of, yes, look at the numbers there. It went from 32% more or less to over about 66%. Okay. It doubled, more than doubled, or it was twice as much, more than doubled. So something can double. And the opposite thing, it can fall from, 80% to, 37%. It halved. That's not a verb we use very much, is it? A half is a half. It's 50%, but to halve, H-A-L-V-E, to halve is to drop or fall by 100%, from 80 to 40. But this is from 80 to 35, for example. It more than halved. Those kinds of ways of describing numbers in terms of words will guarantee you, I can tell you that as a, I remember when I was an examiner, when I did the corrections or marking the written exams, those are the things that stand out. Those are the ones that make the difference. The people who know how to use language to describe numbers. You've got the numerical data, but we don't want to see, just a repetition of the data that we can see very clearly in the exam information. We don't really want to read, it went up by 62%. No, that's not interesting. It doubled, it rose significantly, because you're interpreting it. You're interpreting it in words, and that's what they're really looking for. So the details there are also, of course, very interesting. We've got to be looking at, the little details. Be careful with our adverbs, be careful with our adjectives, and also look out for, things like prepositions. Oh, dear me, I'm sorry to mention prepositions. They're horrible things, aren't they? So we're comparing, remember. Listen to this. What's the preposition I'm using? This trend is comparable to previous years. So we compare things to other things. Comparable to. Different. Ooh, that's a tricky one. Is it different from or different to? It's different from. The results are different from what was expected. The results are different from what was expected. And then we have, little phrases. If things are almost the same, identical practically, the figures are almost the same as last month, almost the same as. Be careful then with our prepositions. These are things which are not kind of details on top of the essential things. They are essential towards getting a very, very good grade. Not only, of course, in IELTS, but enabling you, helping you to become a proficient and efficient and proficient writer in English, particularly academic English. These things are very, very important. So remember, with IELTS Task 1, it's more a question of, how you interpret the details and put it down. We're not talking about that today. We're looking more in the details. And that's the key, of course, these little details towards giving you a very strong foundation to help you get that high grade that you deserve, okay? By the way, if you get the chance, please, whenever you can, share this information you've been hearing today with friends. And also, we'd love to hear what you think of it. Share your opinions. Give us a review. We'd love to hear, the constructive feedback, whether you think, yes, it's great, or it could be improved, or I like this, I didn't like that. That's great. That's what we like to hear. Use whatever means you've got at your disposal. If it's Spotify you're listening to this on, share your opinion there. And remember, going back to the AI essay checker, don't forget to sign up for it and get that feedback. It will really help you on your way towards success in IELTS. Okay, so that's all for today. I'll speak to you again soon, I hope, and good luck with your IELTS studies. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.